I'm Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. In this video, I'm going to show you how to bezel set an uneven ancient coin. So beautiful. And I'll show you all the little ins and outs of how to get it just right. Setting a coin, which is something we haven't done, and we're going to film. So just remember, if you talk any smack, the whole internet will know what it is. So that's fine. You know what I mean? But so we're about to set this ancient coin, which is appropriate for the last day of our ancient gold course. Of course, you can't see the piece, it's all taped up now, but earlier you saw us granulating and making the bezel and all that kind of good stuff, and it'll be all unveiled when we set. So what Jen and I were talking about is, like, she was saying, well, I think, you know, I would have left more bezel. Now, when you have a coin in particular, I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter what kind of coin, but an ancient coin, you don't want to hide a lot of the coin. It's kind of like when you're setting a faceted stone. You know, you wouldn't want a lot of extra bezel and covering up a lot of it. So I want just enough. So perhaps Alexis can get a little close up. You see how there's just enough metal showing above the coin to set it, and that's it. We really don't want a whole lot there. Now, again, that might be your style for that particular design and whatever, but generally speaking, I want a pretty minimal bezel. And it also, this is not round or oval, it's Baroque, whatever shape it is. And it's got a little right there, which we made sure to faithfully replicate in our bezel. You know, that little whatever that is. And I'm sure you remember from us talking before, whenever you have a point or a corner or a small area, you do that first. The broad, smooth areas are easy, no problem. You go after the little pointy stuff first. So we have, oh look, my master bezel setting set. So I'm going to probably use one of the straight setters, which is one of the smaller tools. To get into that little spot. The rest of this looks like, you know, we've got plenty of room. I can use our, you know, garden variety bezel roller, but right in here, I have to kind of get in there. So, but otherwise, then all of those things about, like, don't cover too much of the coin and whatever, it's really not any particularly different than anything else you're gonna do. We're going to work the little areas first and then walk, you know, work the broad curves, okay? Now, I usually stand because I am short, and I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna press in right here. You see that? So that it really kind of fits right in there. And you're always working away from those corners. And I'm doing the same thing from the one side, the other side. I mean, I think of it literally as I'm like sweeping the metal. You just keep sweeping it away, 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 because you don't want that extra space in there. So, see that? Like so. So then take a look. It's not like I've done that much, but I've kind of really pressed that in there nice and tightly. So there's not really any extra gap there. I think I'm going to take my bezel roller now and work from here and here. Keep my finger on top. I press in, roll it out. That's the only difference. And see, this is why I'll put another piece of tape there. Perfect example. Everybody slips. That's why you want layers of tape there, so that you hit the tape and not your piece. No matter how good you think you are, sooner or later, you will slip. Sometimes sooner. I slip less than I used to, but it's never down to 0%. Okay. So press in. And that's really the difference between using the straight setter and the bezel roller. You know, the bezel roller is wide on the bottom and you can kind of do that side to side. The straight setters are so small, you really just sort of press straight in. You can't really do that side to side or they'll just kind of slide around on you.
Yeah, and mar it up.
Yep, we don't want that. Press in. And you notice again, I'm continuing to sweep away from that small area. Press in. Okay, so I'll let Alexis do a, you know, but you see what I mean? How we're just following the shape of it? Because by the time we're done, is just gonna be the smallest little bit as a tiny little lip over that coin. All right, so I'm gonna have you work on it and we will come back and visit you when you are at a later stage. Okay. Look, this is pressed up against here. Looks lovely, but we're not quite done. We're gonna, move the angle of our tool up and use a little leather mallet and kind of do just a little bit of tap, tap, tap. But this is where having a bezel that really fits your stone all pays off, because you don't have all that extra room that like you're chasing and chasing and chasing and will never really look good. So a tight bezel is really everything. And at the end, all these end stages become easier and easier because of the work that you did in the beginning. Okay, so like so, little leather mallet. And I'm gonna repeat, even though I'm sure we've done this before, with the hammer technique, I'm holding the tool in my left hand, which is my non-dominant hand. And I rest it like this, so that the tool's resting like kind of right in the middle of my pinky. My thumb is in front, 4 fingers in the back. In other words, so that I'm gonna be just like this. Okay? Because this is the easiest hand position. You're just moving it always all at once, rather than trying to like, right? Okay, so I'm gonna put this at the top like so.
And your pinky is always touching the wooden block, right?
Exactly, that's what this is all resting on. And that's where the whole fulcrum is. When I roll this, it's just all from the pinky. Basically, the less individual movements, the better. You know what I mean? Especially with a coin, these edges are not like regular and smooth. So, a little hammering is usually necessary. See what I mean? To kind of roll that in there. It's going to give you a beautiful little edge. You know what I mean? Just like that. It's also going to like actually hold the coin in, which is an important part of the whole process. And you notice my tool is, at this point, because the coin is so flat, it's more or less straight up and down. If you have a poofier stone, you might have to be out here a little bit, but this is really flat.
Oh, that smile behind you is getting larger and larger.
Because you see what I'm talking about, right? It's like, mwah.
It's beautiful.
You see that deliciousness there? It gets a little thicker. And that's what really finishes it and just, makes it look beautiful. Now I'm gonna keep going around, but I'm gonna go to your little more narrow area and roll away from it. So in other words, like so. See what I mean? Like so. And then I'll do the same thing from the other side. I mean, we don't have that much loose bezel to move around anyway, but.
And then this would also be the way to set slices, right?
Yeah. But really, it's only very slightly different from how you do a cabochon. It's really just about the angle usually, you know what I mean? Like, if it's a little more poofy, maybe you're back here. With something flat like this, you're almost, pretty much straight up and down. You see what I mean? If that doesn't fucking look good, I don't know what does. And like at the end we can polish it, but sometimes with a coin, you don't always want a shine. It's up to you what level of shine you want there. Because like, take a look at that. That's really just one round. Like there's a little more we could do, but you see the big difference there? This is beautiful. Maybe we'll go in here just a little bit more. I mean, right? So what I want you to do is just do a little bit more, but essentially it's done.